This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Grocery competition. A federal investigation examines the ability of new stores to set up in the Halifax area. Tree for Boston. The annual Christmas thank you from Nova Scotia is cut down and ready to head south of the border. And a program to help Nova Scotia seniors stay in their homes longer is expanding.
More unsettled weather over the next couple of days with showers and, yes, a few flakes in the mix for higher terrain areas. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. During the last year or so, Canada's Competition Bureau has been quietly looking into the ability of new grocery stores to set up in Halifax. The investigation looks into so-called property controls. These are legal instruments that can block competitors from setting up stores in certain places. Shayna Luck has the story.
This storefront was once a small Sobeys, used almost daily by families who lived nearby.
It was very handy if you forgot something. You know, you could zip up here and get it.
But in 2009, the store closed and Sobeys sold the land. It placed what's called a restrictive covenant on the property. For 20 years, the building couldn't be used as a grocery store. Neighbors feel the space has gone to waste.
It's discouraging. I think people who live in the back have had issues with garbage.
A restrictive covenant is just one type of property control. Other types are attached to commercial leases, and they stop a landlord from renting to a competitor in the same shopping plaza or within a certain area. The Competition Bureau argues both types are a problem and has demanded more information from the parent companies of Superstore and Sobeys.
It's really hard to keep track of them.
James Baxter studies property law and food systems.
The public, at least, doesn't have a very good view of, where these things might exist within the bounds of a city.
CBC checked property records for major grocery stores in Halifax. 5 Sobeys and 10 Atlantic Superstores had documents related to the lease with a landlord, sometimes banning renting to competitors in meats, fruits, vegetables, and other products, as long as the first store was operating. Sobeys' parent company, Empire, didn't comment for this story, but it objected to the Competition Bureau's investigation and went to court to try to quash it. The case was dismissed. Superstore's parent, Loblaw, said in February it would stop using restrictive covenants and get rid of property controls from its store leases in Halifax. Loblaw also did not respond to an interview request. The Competition Bureau believes more competition leads to lower prices and more innovation, but the Canadian Federation of Independent Grocers doesn't think changing property controls will affect food prices. Still, plenty of shoppers think more options would help them.
There's only 2 of us now. My kids have grown and left. And even for us, I'm spending $500 a month in groceries if I go to the regular store.
How far do you drive to come?
About an hour and 15 minutes. Without traffic.
And it's worth it?
Oh, by far. It's always worth it.
Oh, I shop all over. You have to, right?
It's not clear how long the Competition Bureau investigation will take. As of October, it said it had drawn no conclusions of wrongdoing. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Halifax.
Amid tariff tensions, a decades-long festive season tradition continued today in Lunenburg County, the annual cutting of the Christmas tree for the city of Boston. The tradition honors the support given by Boston following the Halifax explosion in 1917. The CBC's Brett Ruskin has more.
Today is the day that the tree for Boston has been cut down. Again, this is an annual tradition here in the province of Nova Scotia for the people of Nova Scotia to say thanks to the people of Boston for the assistance that they provided in the aftermath following the 1917 Halifax explosion. Again, the blast was as a result of 2 ships colliding in the harbor, one of them a munitions ship, exploding, causing widespread devastation across most of the city, with nearly 2,000 people dying. Within hours of hearing about the blast and the disaster, the city of Boston sent a train full of doctors and nurses and supplies to assist with the recovery efforts. So every year, the people of Nova Scotia select a beautiful tree, cut it down, and send it to the city of Boston to be displayed in their downtown. Now, one thing that is different about this year is that we actually, for the first time, had the mayor of Boston here to attend the ceremony and to even wield a chainsaw herself to assist with the cutting. Here's what she had to say about this day and about this tradition.
I am so proud and so honored to bring greetings from the people of Boston and tremendous gratitude for this very special gift. This is a long-standing tradition that we hold dear to our hearts in Boston.
So the tree is now down, loaded onto the flatbed truck you see behind me here. It will be participating in a number of different events in communities across the province before eventually making its way down south of the border to Boston. Brett Ruskin, CBC News, Lunenburg County, Nova Scotia.
Boston Mayor Michelle Wu has been in the province since Sunday. She says she wanted to come here to express the importance of the continued economic relationship between the two cities, despite tensions at the federal level.
To this day, Boston refuses to bow down to chaos and cruelty, even when it's coming from our own federal government. So I wanted to be here to say thank you for continuing this special tradition, and I want to affirm how important this friendship is to the people of Boston, no matter what is happening at other levels of government.
On Tuesday, on behalf of the city of Boston, Wu laid a wreath during Remembrance Day ceremonies at Grand Parade. On her time here, Wu says all Nova Scotians will be welcome in Boston with the same hospitality she's received this week. Meanwhile, new numbers from StatsCan show Canadians are continuing to boycott travel to the U.S. The data shows 1.4 million Canadians made return trips from the U.S. by car in October. That's a drop of more than 30% from the same time last year. And the number of Canadians making return trips by air from U.S. last month was about 437,000. That's down nearly 24% from a year ago. The decline came as the number of Canadians flying back from overseas increased by close to 7%. Halifax Water has lifted mandatory water restrictions for 122,000 customers fed by Lake Major, saying recent rain has eased the strain on the water supply. The utility says the precipitation has increased water levels at Lake Major by 70 centimeters. But while that is an improvement, voluntary water use restrictions will remain in place for the time being. Halifax Water says it is cautiously optimistic that water levels are slowly recovering. Lake Major serves Dartmouth, Burnside, Cole Harbour, Westfall, North Preston, and Eastern Passage. The Pockwalk Lake facility also remains under voluntary conservation measures. Speaking of precipitation and weather, here's Ryan Snoddon.
Yeah, and listen, Tom, we've had a pretty good shot of rain, especially for the southeast parts of the province since the weekend. In fact, let's look at some of these totals. These are since Sunday evening, Monday night, Tuesday into Tuesday night, and you can see some big time totals here. Eastern Shore up into Cape Breton, southern Cape Breton especially, where we had totals here 70 to 100 millimeters or even more, especially on the Eastern Shore and up into Guysborough County. So some substantial rains there. Not so much down in through the valley and through the southwest of Nova Scotia and even New Glasgow, just 5. But we will be looking at more over the next couple of days. Some showers in the mix. This low sailing off to our south and east, and we're going to get into the wraparound showers and a few flakes mixing in again overnight and into the early morning hours of Thursday. And we'll see a few flakes possibly mixing in again Thursday night into Friday as this low kind of spins around, dragging in some very chilly air. The daytime highs on Saturday, certainly very frosty. We'll talk about that coming up in a few minutes.
We'll be warned. Okay, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
The province says it's willing to look at expenses nonprofit groups have incurred trying to help clients whose assistance applications are being delayed. MLAs on the Public Accounts Committee heard today that ADSM for Women and Children spent $77,000 last year helping people bridge gaps while waiting for rent supplement applications to be processed by the government.
I would agree it's not fair that this is a burden for some of these organizations. So we'll have a meeting with some of those folks and see what we can do with respect to correcting this.
The executive director of ADSM says the money spent helping people bridge gaps could have gone elsewhere.
Last year, we acquired a building, a fourplex, using our own funds, and so we would have used that $77,000 either towards the renovation of that fourplex, which is underway now, or towards building a nest to build or acquire more, which we are also doing.
The processing standard for a rent supplement application is supposed to be 2 weeks, but MLAs heard today that it can sometimes take between 8 and 12 weeks. 76 new childcare spaces are being created in Middle Musquodoboit. The province says it's the result of $4.5 million of provincial investment at the Splash of Colour Children's Centre. The project is part of provincial and federal efforts to expand access to childcare through the Canada-Nova Scotia Canada-wide Early Learning and Childcare Agreement. The spaces for infants, toddlers, and preschoolers will be in a new building beside the current centre on Highway 224. The new facility is expected to open in August next year. Dozens of people attended the first and only open house about plans for major development in Bedford. Halifax planners answered questions and listened to feedback about the Sandy Lake Special Planning Area. It's one of 16 areas around the city where the province approves development, not Halifax Council. The Sandy Lake lands could support about 8,000 housing units. Most of these would be in a new neighborhood proposed by Clayton Developments. But most residents said there were concerns about traffic impacts and environmental impacts on wetlands and the nearby lake.
What we're bringing forward here is evidence that can be used in evidence-based decision-making, but what we don't see is that being advanced in the plans, the design right now. Some of the most sensitive areas are right where the development is proposed, and the process has been poor, right? This process has been truncated and forced upon us by the province, and I don't see the developer speaking out against that.
Housing can be compatible with the ecological sensitivities. They can work together. They're not independent. So I would say that as many of our major master plans, which are no different in terms of the wetlands, watercourses, topography, we've managed and been able to work together and still respect the environment. We're going to continue to do so.
Halifax staff say it will take 2 years to do more studies and create planning rules for Sandy Lake. Their report will go to the province's panel on housing, which will make final recommendations to the housing minister about when and how development should happen. A program designed to help seniors age in their own homes is expanding in a new way. The Oasis program is now testing a community-based model in Cole Harbour. But as Vern Ramazar reports, its long-term future may depend on finding sustainable funding.
The Oasis program aims to help seniors age in place by tackling isolation, improving nutrition, and promoting physical fitness. This new pilot at Cole Harbour Place is testing if the model can work for an entire neighbourhood, moving beyond its original setting in specific apartment buildings with large senior populations.
So with the blessing of Oasis National, we're being asked to pilot this program to see what can we learn if we were to open up an Oasis program in the community and focus on a neighbourhood and perhaps a little bit wider.
The program's coordinator, Deborah Legere, says the site was chosen following encouragement by the councillor for the area. She says the management of Cole Harbour Place provided the space because they saw the need. She says this community approach is key to reaching more people. But she points to research showing the program's broader value.
Their research has shown that it keeps people in their homes as compared to buildings that didn't have an Oasis in them a year to a year and a half longer, kept them out of long-term care, assisted living, or hospital. So this is a beneficial program for people. It's beneficial for the members themselves, but it's also beneficial for government and for the medical care system.
For participants, the weekly gatherings provide a crucial social outlet and a sense of community.
Especially now with the winter, colder months are coming and people are, more inclined to stay home. I think it'll get us out and give us something to look forward to.
For Ann Baker, one of the attractions of the program is that it's designed based on suggestions from participants.
She's very receptive to anything that we like to do. She's always asking us for suggestions. And I think in the other program that she runs in the apartment building, I think a lot of them are suggestions that people do.
Despite the demand and documented success, the program's financial future is uncertain. Leger says the current private funding is decreasing every year, making it difficult to plan for expansion.
We'd love to do it across the province if we could, but funding is a big issue. As a nonprofit, funding is always the issue. We're always chasing the same dollar as somebody else. So if we could have sustained funding, then we could watch this grow.
For now, organizers hope the success of this pilot will make the case that investing in prevention now can save the healthcare system money later. Vernon Ramazar, CBC News, Cole Harbour.
We'll get you started.
There's your live Harbour Cam shot of a dark downtown Halifax tonight for sure. Ryan Snoddon back with your full weather forecast right after this quick break.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
All right, got to admit, waking up this morning to the white stuff on the ground takes a little bit of an adjustment, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to get there.
We're going to get there. Another little shot across the bow.
Mm-hmm.
So for the winter tires, definitely, again, recommending those. The other thing that happened last night before the snow arrived, we did have a few shots of some northern lights across the province.
I did not see those.
Yes, even here in the Halifax area. Have a look at these couple of shots. This one from Barry Burgess.
Wow.
Yeah, this one, Aspetogan, and just a phenomenal.
Yeah, he got all of it, didn't he?
He really did. He really did.
That's a beautiful shot, Barry.
And this from Mark Pinot.
Oh, we know him well, don't we?
We do. For Spryfield, right here in the city or just outside the city.
Yeah.
And yeah, so visible right overhead. And tonight, the KP index not quite as strong as last night, but in the 6 to 7 range. And if you look at that scale, basically the higher the number, the greater the chance that those northern lights are going to be visible further south. And you can see in that 5 to 7 range is usually the sweet spot for Nova Scotia, or at least 6 to 7, and that's where we'll be tonight. The one thing hampering us is the clouds, which we'll show you in just a second. The clouds are rolling in, so it's we're working on a limited time here. There are the temperatures out there right now, 2-3 degrees across Cape Breton. We're anywhere from 2 to 6 and 7 degrees across the mainland. The winds sustained in the 10, 20 kilometer per hour range. Those are going to continue to ease tonight. Still some gusts to 40 along parts of the coast right now. There's the cloud, which is rolling in across the northeast pretty quickly here. So northern lights, not going to happen down here through the south and west. But if you're along that north shore, maybe over the next hour or two before that cloud deck really thickens up, but it's looking like, again, we're running out of time here. There's the low that is bringing that cloud into the mix and is going to spin to our south and then east, dragging in all this cold air in its wake. Temperatures you can see across Canada right now, very November-ish, especially in the north. Temperatures really, the warmest temperatures have been pushed back to the U.S. South. The winds are going to become light tonight. We're going to be seeing overnight lows in that 1 to 4 range for the most part, and a chance for some of those flakes to mix in overnight tonight as this system does start to roll in. This model pretty bullish on just straight up rain, but I can tell you the Canadian model in particular showing some of these flakes, especially tomorrow morning with these temperatures dipping to 1 or 2 degrees, higher terrain areas of the 104, and then also up towards the Cape Breton Highlands, looking most likely to see some of those wet flakes, Cobequid Pass as well. It's going to be cold enough for that to be falling as snow, even South Mountain and around the Annapolis Valley region. Note tomorrow, the best chance for showers is going to be here in the east. It's some sunny breaks in the west and even into central areas with a chance for some of these showers to pop up throughout the day and just remaining damp in the east, with the winds becoming northeasterly, especially late day. It's a northerly wind 10 to 20 for a good chunk of the day, gusting 30 to 40 late afternoon into the evening. Temperatures 6 to 8 degrees across the east, and Antigonish, as I said, Antigonish County back through the Colchester-Cumberland area. That's where we're going to see our best chance of some of that snow tomorrow. Could see some slushy accumulation. 4, 5, 6 degrees through the metro area, and back into the southwest here. Temperatures will range from 5 to 7 degrees. Chance for some sunny breaks here, but a chance for some showers as well. Very similar story on Friday. Quieter in the southwest, more unsettled, cloudier, windier in the northeast, and it's thanks to this low, which is going to be spinning up into the northern Gulf, and then we're going to be just looking at these kind of showers wrapping in on the backside of this system, keeping things unsettled. There's Saturday, which looks pretty quiet for the mainland, lingering showers for Cape Breton. Note those temperatures on Saturday, ranging between highs of 0 to 2. So it will feel cool. Some sun in the mix at least. Showers to rain on Sunday. This looks like our next impactful system. Sunday into Monday. Let's quickly show it to you. This is the European model, and you can see here it comes in from the west. There we are Sunday afternoon, increasing rain from west to east. And if you're going to be traveling, this looks like snow northern and even central parts of New Brunswick Sunday night. And this looks like gusty winds and rain for Nova Scotia Sunday night, and then back to some flurries on the backside of this system as our temperatures fall into Monday. So we'll be watching that one closely over the next couple of days, Tom.
Yeah, we'll be ready for it all. All right, thanks so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Prize fighting in sports like boxing and mixed martial arts could be coming to PEI. Right now, it's not allowed, but the province is looking at changing that. Connor Lamont explains.
Right now, if you want to compete in some combat sports on PEI, it's actually illegal. So the province has proposed legislation that would allow tournaments and competitions on the island for boxing, kickboxing, and mixed martial arts. Other provinces like Nova Scotia and New Brunswick already allow tournaments in these sports, and PEI wants to follow suit.
I've a number of amateur and pro fighters from the gym that have to travel to other provinces. It'd be kind of nice for them to fight in front of their mums and dads and grandparents, and really there's no need to be traveling like that. It should have been here a decade ago.
I just feel that for those families and those people that would like to be able to do this on PEI, it's a bit of a roadblock right now, and I don't want that roadblock there for them.
The criminal code actually bans prize fighting in many cases. That's when two people meet to fight with their hands or feet. Regulating sports like MMA will allow PEI to host these events. Bell says it's long overdue.
I do think that there is probably a tourism piece. I do know that, specifically with MMA, it's a growing sport right across the country, right across the world. I know that there's been, a lot in the industry that would say, yeah, we should be able to have these events here on PEI, and it might be able to give a little bit of economic spin-off to host one here on the island.
Promoters in the combat sport world say it's about time athletes in PEI could compete on home soil.
You could add to the summer lineup there. I think it would be super popular. You could be doing events 2-3 times a year there. And the times I'm from Pictou. We do events here in Pictou. It's September when all the tourist season's done. We're filling every hotel in town. We're filling every restaurant for 2 days. The economic impact is real.
If some people get 800 to 1,000 people following them to Moncton, you can imagine what it would be like here at home, and you just have to drive up the road.
Minister Bell says the fight events would probably look very similar to what other provinces are doing. The consultation period for the proposed legislation ends in December. Connor Lamont, CBC News, Charlottetown.
Coming up, some Canadian veterans are raising concerns that the federal budget could change their disability benefits. If the new federal budget passes, it will change the way disability benefits are calculated for military veterans. They worry that they'll face a less generous system in the future if it is calculated solely on the cost of living index. Right now, it's calculated using either CPI or the average of a basket of public service salaries, whichever is greater. Debbie Lowther is with Vets Canada, a nonprofit charity that helps veterans in this country. Ms. Lowther, what are vets saying about this?
Well, I think they're really concerned about how this will impact them and their families. You know, they're struggling as it is, so this is not going to make things better. It will make things worse. So, yeah, I think they feel really not important. You know, I think that we as a country don't honor our veterans enough, and you know, by doing something like this, I think is, you know, not the right move.
I know there's a lot of chatter about it over Remembrance Day, leading up to Remembrance Day, and I know it's still pretty new because the budget document was just announced. But are you starting to get a sense of how it might impact people, or how much it might impact people?
I mean, the devil's in the details, but I think that it is going to have an impact. We don't know how much yet, I guess, until, you know, things roll out. But, you know, in my opinion, anything that's cut from veterans is, you know, not right.
I know we were talking about this before we came on. You know, the federal government has been looking for cost-saving measures and asking all departments to take some out of their budgets. And the argument might go that, well, you know, some people's pensions are increased with the cost of living index this same sort of way. But you would argue it's different, or it should be different for vets.
I think so. I mean, you know, these are the people that put their lives on the line for the rest of us. And, you know, I think that we owe them a debt of gratitude. And so I think that we should be doing all we can to make sure that they're successful post-military service. So I think, you know, this is not the right play.
I heard one veteran talking about it yesterday, saying it feels like nickel and diming. What has it been like over the span of that? Because this is not the first time that where we have seen the way that veterans get paid get altered. Other governments have done it as well. What has it been like over the last, say, 20 years or so?
So for us, we started in 2010, but in 2006, they went from the Pension Act to the new Veterans Charter. So it went from, you know, a monthly pension for life to lump sum payments for disability awards. And, you know, it works out to be a lot less that way. And so, you know, that move in itself, I think, was the start of, you know, the downward spiral of veterans not receiving the benefits that they deserve.
What would your message to government be?
I think that veterans should not be a political issue. I think that all parties should work together when it comes to veterans. And, you know, I think that, you know, maybe veterans should be moved a little bit higher up on the list of priorities.
What are you seeing on the ground? I mean, you are talking to veterans regularly. How are they? What are they telling you, particularly those who find themselves a little bit on the fringe?
Well, they're worried. You know, they're already struggling, so they're not sure how this is going to impact them moving forward. You know, having a hard time putting food on the table. You know, making ends meet, and you know, things are already bad.
You started a food bank. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yep, so we did. We started a food bank in Dartmouth for veterans. We soft launched in March, and you know, even though we haven't done a big splashy open, we're still busy. You know, veterans are feeling the pinch of, you know, the rising costs. So we're happy that we can be there to help.
On the other side of things, you were hearing the federal government wanting to increase the size of the military, more equipment, more procurement. What kind of impact could a story like this have, do you think, on someone who might be considering a career in the military, or somebody who's already in there?
Right. You know, I think that when people join the military, they think that they're going to be taken care of. And, you know, when they hear something like this, you know, I think maybe they might think twice about joining. So I don't think this is a good move for a lot of reasons. But like you said, recruitment is down. So I think this is not going to help recruitment.
What's the track record been like? I mean, how do you think this will play out? Do you have the ear of government? Do veterans have the ear of government? Might this be something that they look at altering?
I think if if veterans came together collectively and really, stood together and made their voices heard, it might do something. But again, I think they all feel really kind of depleted. They've had to fight so hard for the benefits that they do have. They're just frustrated.
Well, thank you for talking to us a little bit about this. We'll watch where it goes from here. Debbie Lowther, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Coming up, Pierre Poilievre holds his first news conference since 2 MPs announced their departure from the Conservatives. And Democrats have released new emails from the estate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein that mention Donald Trump. Welcome back. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre says he doesn't plan on changing his leadership style. His comments come after one of his MPs crossed the floor to the Liberals last week, and another announced his resignation sometime in the new year. Kate McKenna reports from Ottawa.
At Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre's first news conference after 2 surprise caucus departures, he doubled down.
I'm very saddened for the Nova Scotia families on whom Mr. Carney and Mr. D'Entremont are raising the price of groceries and homes.
Last week, Alberta MP Matt Genereux announced plans to resign his seat. And Nova Scotia MP Chris D'Entremont crossed the floor to the Liberals, citing Poilievre's leadership as a reason why. But the Conservative leader says he doesn't plan on changing.
No, my plan is to continue to lead and be the only leader in the country that's fighting for an affordable Canada, where our people who work hard can afford a home and food.
He also accused the media of having a double standard.
It does not live up to its promise of generational investments.
After Liberal MP Nate Erskine-Smith gave the budget a mixed review.
I know you're camped outside his office right now, waiting to get comment from him. I know you've been chasing Mark Carney down hallways.
And he pointed repeatedly to these comments made by D'Entremont while he was still in the Conservative caucus.
We warned that Liberals, their out-of-control spending and massive deficits were irresponsible. But of course they didn't listen. And now, after 6 months under a new Prime Minister who promised financial discipline, Canadians are still waiting. He said he'd be judged by the cost at the grocery store. Well, Mr. Speaker, Canadians are judging him, and they are not impressed.
Whether this will be enough to stop questions about Poilievre's leadership remains an open question.
What Mr. Poilievre's thinking.
This pollster says Poilievre is popular with the Conservative base, but divisive with the Canadian population.
But one of the distinctive features of Mr. Poilievre is just how polarizing he is. There's a lot of Canadians who like him, and there are a lot of Canadians who don't. And it's almost entirely divided by whether you support the Conservative Party or not.
Chris D'Entremont responded to what Poilievre said in a statement, calling his comments spin and claiming it proves his point about Poilievre's leadership. Kate McKenna, CBC News, Ottawa.
Newly released documents are raising more questions about Donald Trump's friendship with the late sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The emails written by Epstein referencing the president were released on the same day the U.S. House of Representatives is set to pass a funding bill to get the federal government working again. Katie Nicholson has the details.
The House will be in order.
After a recess that stretched 54 days,
The chair lays before the House a communication.
the House is back in session to pass a measure to end the longest U.S. government shutdown in history. But House Democrats started the day with a bang, releasing 3 private emails from the more than 20,000 the Oversight Committee has obtained from the estate of convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. All 3 mention Donald Trump. Among them, a 2011 email to Epstein's longtime partner, now convicted child sex offender Ghislaine Maxwell. Epstein refers to Trump as having spent hours at my house with a sex trafficking victim. And a 2019 email exchange with journalist Michael Wolff in which Epstein wrote that Trump knew about the girls he asked Ghislaine to stop. At the time, Epstein was months away from federal charges of sex trafficking minors. Republicans accused the Democrats of cherry-picking the emails and released a deluge, 20,000 pages from the Epstein estate, all as the White House pushed back on the notion the emails point to impropriety.
These emails prove absolutely nothing other than the fact that President Trump did nothing wrong. And what President Trump has always said is that he was from Palm Beach, and so was Jeffrey Epstein.
Donald Trump and Epstein had a well-documented friendship that started to sour over a real estate deal in 2004. There's no suggestion Trump was involved in any criminal wrongdoing in the emails, but their release comes just as Adelita Grihova was finally sworn in 7 weeks after she was elected. The Arizona representative tipped the balance on a discharge petition to force a House vote, demanding the Department of Justice release its own Epstein files. Representatives are ready for a fight.
If you know that you are free and clear, then why not say, you know what, release the files?
Even so, there are questions whether any of the 4 House Republicans who supported releasing the files will change their minds after one of them took a meeting with the White House. Katie Nicholson, CBC News, Washington.
In the Middle East, Israel's president says Jewish settlers crossed a red line with their latest attack on Palestinians in the occupied West Bank. On Tuesday, a large group of massed Israeli settlers converged on 2 Palestinian villages in what Palestinian officials say is part of an ongoing campaign to drive them off their land. Tom Perry reports.
The latest attack by Israeli settlers against Palestinians in the West Bank was a mass arson attack by dozens of masked Israeli settlers descending on these communities in the West Bank, setting fire to vehicles, setting fire to buildings. Security camera footage from a dairy in one of the communities that came under attack shows large crowds of masked individuals approaching the building, trying to break windows, attacking cars in the parking lot, and going after delivery trucks from the dairy that were outside as well, setting fire to them. Now, the dairy's director has talked about some of what happened. He says that he thinks there were between 60 and 70 attackers coming after his facility.
The attack was pre-planned, entirely pre-planned. And they were divided by groups. Each group know what to do. The groups which broke into the doors, not the same group that banned the cars. So they were really organized settlers.
The Israeli military says it tried to break up some of these attacks. It says that it apprehended a number of individuals, turned them over to Israeli police. 4 Palestinians were injured in these attacks. The Israeli military is condemning them. We're also hearing that same message from Israel's president, Isaac Herzog, calling it unacceptable. But the Israeli media has been pointing out today is that what really sets this attack apart is that authorities did try to break it up. In the past, they've turned a blind eye or worse. The United Nations put out a report last month saying that there were 757 attacks by settlers against Palestinians in the West Bank in the first half of this year. That's up from last year. And it says in many cases, authorities were either acquiesced to these attacks or in some cases just supported them outright, and that settlers were acting with a sense of impunity. Tom Perry, CBC News, Jerusalem.
Russia says it's making strategic advances in eastern Ukraine. Kyiv's top military commander says the fiercest battles are in the embattled city of Pokrovsk, and it has been under threat by Russian forces for more than a year. Briar Stewart has the latest.
Through the fog, a glimpse of battleground Pokrovsk, a strategic Ukrainian city, barren, bleak, and on the brink.
There are much more Russians than there was before. Several hundreds of them are in the city.
We are only identifying this Ukrainian drone operator by his military call sign, Goose. For nearly a year, he's had an aerial view of Pokrovsk as Ukraine has been trying to stop Russian soldiers from pushing further.
Almost all of the city now is a gray zone. It is not controlled by our side or the Russian side.
With skies saturated by drones, it's too risky to bring in large military equipment. So troops make the last part of the journey by walking, around 10 kilometers.
It's very difficult for our troops because the Russians has the advantages, at least in the quantity of the infantry.
Volodymyr Polevy estimates that the ratio of Russian troops to Ukrainians in this area is about 5-1. Russia has long sought the city of Pokrovsk, which had a population of 60,000 before the war. Now officials estimate 1,000 civilians remain. Russia is trying to encircle Pokrovsk and cut off access to the nearby city of Mirnohrad. It's part of a goal to seize an even greater chunk of Ukraine's Donetsk region.
We have to hold this position as many times as we need, as we can.
To the southeast in the Zaporizhia region, Russia is also trying to press forward. Police are rushing to evacuate residents while they can, fearing they could be trapped as the front line inches closer. Briar Stewart, CBC News, London.
It is day 3 of the United Nations COP30 climate summit in Brazil, and security has been tightened after dozens of protesters tried to force their way into the venue Tuesday night. Susan Ormiston reports from Belém.
This is the entrance to COP30, and there is a row over there of federal police vehicles. And overnight, they installed a security fence here with a sliding gate so that they can close off this area should any other threat or demonstration get too close. That's all because of that incident last night where a group of protesters mobbed this area in front of the COP venue, then pushed their way through the entrance, past the security screening machines, and flooded into an area just at the approach to the pavilions and negotiating rooms for the climate delegates. One of the protesters last night outside, one of the indigenous peoples, had a little bit to say about what they were protesting against.
Nós não comemos dinheiro. Nós queremos o nosso território livre do agronegócio, da exploração de petróleo, da exploração de minério, da exploração de madeireiros.
The Brazilian leadership of this COP has said that they would also give Indigenous peoples a greater voice and that they wouldn't restrict demonstrations totally, as happened in Egypt and in Azerbaijan and also in Dubai. So there has been a promise to allow people to have their voice, and we will see a People's Summit here in the next 2 days.
Susan Ormiston, CBC News, Belém, Brazil.
A Saskatchewan family is speaking out after WestJet canceled their tickets, claiming their 14-year-old daughter's wheelchair was too heavy. Helena Mahalik has more on the family's demands for better accessibility.
8th grader Georgia Nadaraj says she's looking forward to a family trip to Mexico during February break.
I was getting really excited about it.
At just 18 months old, Georgia was diagnosed with spinal muscular atrophy. A 200-kilogram wheelchair helps to ease tension in her muscles and spine. And her family says they've flown with WestJet out of Saskatoon for years with her chair. But now the airline has canceled their tickets, claiming the chair exceeds its weight limit.
I was kind of a little bit sad that we weren't gonna go if we couldn't find a different way to get there.
WestJet told Georgia's father that handling a wheelchair of that weight is unsafe for its staff and it could damage the chair. And in a statement to CBC News, the airline says WestJet updated its wheelchair size and weight limits in its Accessibility Progress Report of June 2024. But the family says they are confused about the timing of those rule changes.
As recently as 8 months ago, we were flying on WestJet out of Saskatoon with Georgia's chair. And so to hear that they're now refusing to take her chair on was disheartening, yeah.
Well, they just did it a couple months ago, so why is it too heavy now?
The family is still planning on that vacation, making an 8-hour drive to Calgary to catch a bigger WestJet plane that can accommodate Georgia's chair. But they're hopeful this incident opens a wider conversation about accessibility on airlines. They're calling on Transport Canada to look into this issue further, so people outside big cities can travel on WestJet planes with heavier wheelchairs. Helena Mahalik, CBC News, Saskatoon.
Canada's main stock index gained more than 400 points to reach new highs, helped by gains in the basic materials sector, while U.S. markets were mixed. Let's look at the numbers as we head to break.
This weather update is brought to you in part by Atlantic Lottery's iGames. Play hundreds of games on the Atlantic Lottery app or at alc.ca.
All right, a few little tastes of winter, working ourselves into it with the white stuff on the ground this morning.
Yeah, that's right. And a couple more tastes over the next couple of days, particularly over higher terrain areas. Okay. We could see some flurries mixing in even down towards the metro area overnight tonight. And then just shower and flurry chances into Friday. But again, mainly over higher terrain areas. We'll get into that in a sec. First, let's start with our viewer picture of the day. And yeah, terrific shot as we zoom in. Pirate Harbor.
Great name. Pirate Harbor.
But although this is the wrong location.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Pirate Harbor is actually right across from Port Hawkesbury. So I updated the text.
What about that? I don't see a harbor there.
I did not save my camera view, so that's what happened here. So we zoomed in on Dartmouth instead.
Okay, we got the picture.
Yes.
That's good.
So Pirate Harbor, beautiful spot, and you can see this great shot from Gloria. The sun breaking through there and an eagle just soaking
resting, waiting for something to happen. Yeah, yes. Beautiful shot.
Absolutely. Thanks to Gloria for sharing. And again, Pirate Harbor, a beautiful spot. So here's the forecast as we move through the overnight tonight. Those clouds building in, the showers primarily in the east throughout the day on Thursday. You can see that we've got temperatures pretty chilly in the morning. That's where I think we'll have our best potential of a few flurries mixing in, and those showers will continue really over the northeast, but scattered in through the southwest and central areas as well. We'll all run the risk of a few showers for tomorrow. There's your temperatures. You can see 4 to 7 degrees. The winds from the north tomorrow becoming stronger Thursday night in through Friday from the north to northeast. We'll see similar temperatures Friday, and then that cooler air really wrapping in for the weekend with that northwest wind Friday night into Saturday. That's where temperatures are really going to struggle on Saturday. Cape Breton, a few showers or maybe a flurry mixing in, and then that next system that we talked about in the long range, Tom, Sunday afternoon in through Monday.
All right, got it. Thanks so much, Ryan. An early sign of the holiday season. The festive lights are now switched on above London's Carnaby Street. This year's light display is called All is Bright. It's intended to reflect the vibrancy, color, and energy of Carnaby Street and the Soho neighborhood.
Carnaby Street had its heyday in the 1960s when it was ground zero for swinging London. It's continued to be a popular tourist destination for its clothing, stores, restaurants, and bars.
Looks beautiful under the lights for sure. That's it for us tonight. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.
Good night.